Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
We did. Hold on. Do the intro again, Gabe. Do the intro again, Gabe.
Joining us, Rich Robbins is joining us. New album on the horizon.
Yes.
Let's get
it.
Yo,
what up?
Good evening.
Here, man. I was cruising through your guys' Instagram, and I'm very excited to be a part of this tonight, man. Thank you for the invite.
Yo, man. Thank you for putting out all the great stuff that you put out. I've been following your music at least for about a year now, sort of since the pandemic kicked off, and just the most incredible, and I wasn't able to get out to the show on Saturday, but the most incredible live performance I've seen just from watching the Instagram stories of people who made it out to that event. So, thank you for joining us, man. It's an honor to have you on.
Hey, thank you.
You've done a lot of traveling in your life, from your record Growing Pains. West Suburban done made me, them Philly boys done raised me, Madison done changed me, now Shy City finna pay me. So you have been around and seen a lot of different things. How has that experience of experiencing different parts of America, especially the Midwest, how has that helped develop your skill as an artist?
That's a great question, man. I think, initially it was kind of difficult to move around so much as a kid. At least in my opinion, it was moving around a lot from the city of Philadelphia to the suburbs of Philadelphia, then to Chicago and the suburbs of Chicago, and then Madison, Wisconsin for college. So I feel like I never really had like a childhood home. And, like rappers, like one of the first thing you ask like for a new rapper is like, where they from?
Right.
And so like that's always been kind of like a weird thing for me, man, because I feel like it's taken me a really long time to finally find my voice, because I didn't really come from like one area. I didn't spend too long in one area, like I was raised as a child in one place, but became an adult in another place, which is like just kind of like is a little mind twist for you, at least when it comes to like having like a unified culture within you.
Right.
So once I came to terms with all that, I think I finally found my voice, which is like a true blend of all of it. Like I kind of have a Chicago accent, but not like too much. And I don't really have like a East Coast accent, but sort of kind of it's there. It's just like, it's just a voice at the end of the day,
I'm glad you brought up Madison, because I wanted to go back there. It seemed like the community surrounding Rich Robbins, and certainly a lot of the community that was out Saturday night was sort of knew you from Madison. They knew you from that area. And also there were Chicago people there too. But talk about sort of building your network on campus, because, I know plenty of artists who are doing things like you, and they didn't build that network in college. So what was unique about that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, well, so I was a part of a scholarship program called First Wave. So it's a 4-year hip hop and urban art scholarship program, the only one, as far as I know, of its kind. So shout out First Wave. I would not have been in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places, had it not been for this hip hop scholarship program.
You mean that wasn't your first choice to go to college? What? What?
Not the top choice at all. And so, that's what kind of took me to that spot, and being surrounded by so many incredible artists, man. I mean, people that are just like, that are so talented and so down to earth and so willing to just like foster community. Like that word community was thrown around a lot in Madison, particularly because it was very difficult to find a community there in the first place, So that's what kind of like Madison gave me kind of like a voice. And one that was like, as I was maturing, it was really nice to have that support system to like kind of guide my adulthood and my artistry parallel with each other. Because I think some people like they become an adult and an artist, and they're a little reckless with it because they didn't have that structure, which is fair. And I'm not one to judge, but I'm lucky that I had that structure though,
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Crash Prez. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's out of Madison. He's a phenomenal MC and producer himself.
Crash Crash was in the 5th cohort and I was in the 6th cohort. So
got
they
it.
were like a year. They were it's funny because Crash is a year younger than me, I think, but was a year ahead of me in college, at least in the scholarship program. Because I got in the scholarship program a year late. I got in as a sophomore. Usually you get in as a freshman.
Word.
I've heard nothing but good things about Madison. From I have a coworker who went to school out there, and also like you running into different artists. It's like it feels like it's a fantastic community that helps with developing those who are trying to explore their artistry and their talents, and looking for a community that is also trying to welcome it and almost flourish it. But talk a little bit about like some of those for those first few years being out there and trying to get yourself positioned to where you have the confidence to begin getting your music out there and having it heard.
I mean, what's funny, man, is like the first year or so was actually really hard because I had just moved from Chicago, and Chicago was buzzing at the time. Like Chance was coming up. I think 10 Day had just dropped when I was going into my freshman year of college, I believe. And then I think Acid Rap was coming out the following year when I was a sophomore. So I felt really out of place in Madison, to be real with you. I was like, dang, did I make a mistake coming all the way here for college when, like, if I was to integrate myself in the art scene in Chicago right now, maybe I would be at a different point in my career. But also, like, everything happens for a reason, like I actually do not think I would be here or as successful in my career at what I consider successful had I not gone away for a little bit and kind of like that was like my hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z, if anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go in there and like I had to train hardcore before I could, like, I'm a late bloomer, dude. So like I needed that time away before I could really step into the sphere or the ring, But then after that, then I think I totally agree with you. Like once I hit first wave, like that second year, kind of third year of Madison, and I wasn't like, dude, my freshman year, I totally erased from my brain. Like I think there was like nothing like terrible happened, but I just wasn't a part of a community of color at all. And it was just like I had to erase it. Nothing really happened. I bought like a little home recording setup and I recorded probably like, I don't know, 3 mixtapes that were all like 30 songs, and like the lyrics were like, kind of like problematic because I didn't have any that structure. I was more of an imitation of what I was seeing as opposed to like in tune with myself as an artist. So that was really my first year, and then it blossomed from there. I did a couple joints with some Chicago artists like Mick Jenkins and Saba early on.
Shout out that record, that fire record, by the way, the
Dreams,
Mick Jenkins record for sure. Yeah.
Dreams on Spotify. That one set me up really nicely, So
yeah, absolutely. And let's take a trip back to the music for a little bit. So Over the Horizon is out right now. Super impressed with the album as a whole. I think Bottom of the Lake is maybe my favorite record on that joint.
Thanks.
But I listening to the album overall, it just sort of feels like this big hug, and I wasn't expecting it to catch me like that, because I was like, okay, I'm going in and I'm listening to a rap album, and I was, expecting some bravado, some braggadocio, and what I got was this big hug and more like welcome to the family. So talk about that, because I think you like exude that. Like talking to you and seeing you perform, you exude that. Talk about that like comfy coziness that comes with your sound.
Oh man, I feel like, man, we have such a finite amount of time on this planet, like I'm just really not going to waste it on some like I don't know, can I curse on
yeah
here?
Go ahead
Get it in.
I'm just like, I'm not going to waste time on no bullshit, like that's just I'm really big on legacy, and I think it's something that I really picked up from my father. Just always being conscious of like what you put out into the world, it's going to stay there for a while, so like people are going to remember you based off of what you do. So if I spend all my time putting out bullshit, that's what people are going to kind of remember me for, at least that's kind of the pressure I put on myself, for better or for worse,
Right.
But For me, that big hug, that's dope that you feel that way, man, because that's what it's about to me is like music. I feel like no matter what I was gonna do in life, I was going to try to my best to create safe spaces for folks,
Yeah.
because being like a biracial kid, like I was just like, my whole family is very colorful, and so like growing up and like being a part of the world where like it was like all categorized by color, I was like, this shit doesn't make any sense to me. Like my whole family is just all one unit. Why can't y'all just move as one unit? I'm just gonna make sure all my work is encouraging people to move as one unit, instead of dividing folks. And I'm not a saint, dude. Like I definitely know that, and trust me, like I still get my music out there, or I do songs that don't have so much like pressure and substance to them as just another outlet. Maybe they never come out, but like I'll be spitting my bars over the 808s. Like I'll be on my braggadocious shit. But like very close friends and shit get to listen to that side of things, because what I put out to the audience it needs to be a little bit more thought out for me.
Word. Hold on, Gabe. Before you hop in, I got one more question. And one of the collaborations you did on the album was with Mother Nature, and I only bring that up now because you were talking about collaboration and growth. And we had them on the show a couple months back. It was an awesome experience. What was it like collaborating in the Fourth Dimension?
Man, first of all, shout out Mother Nature, man. We brought out Mother Nature at the show to close out the whole show on Saturday, and it was a crazy moment. I had this whole vision when I woke up on Saturday morning, and I was like, I'm gonna start off the song, and it's gonna be solo, and then I'm gonna cut it, and then nobody's gonna know. Mother Nature's gonna come up, and I'm gonna be like, no, we gotta, I can't do this without the feature. And I texted Clever from Mother Nature the whole vision. And I was like, man, she gonna think I'm like weird, because we had never performed before that moment. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna text her, because I feel like if anybody's gonna believe in like having a vision and trying to manifest it, it's gonna be Mother Nature. And then and that was also kind of the process of picking them for the feature too. Red Meat is really a song about like being in tune with yourself to the point where you're recognizing all these like bad things that you're over consuming, whether that's like a relationship or social media or meat.
Right.
I was like, who better than Mother Nature to like tap into that side of like self-awareness, because that's what they're all about. So much love to Mother Nature. They knew the assignment.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this record, it has a lot of depth to it, and there's a lot of feel to it. So, and you confront race on a lot of these records as well. But stereotypes of Black people, the fear of Black people, fearing what other people think of them, addressing that, and then also, growing up and in a Black community and being automatically viewed as a threat. On Pretty Monster. It's like, I'm not violent, I just live here. It's like, but the way that you paint these pictures and the way you demonstrate it, it's beautifully done. And I was telling Sam that like this is such a beautiful record, but there's so much pain that's in these records as well. Talk a little bit about like trying to flesh those ideas out and get that out there, because we're like we're talking with our last guest, as we're going through this sort of racial awakening that's happening in America, where almost anything that is discussed has race involved with it, and your record discusses it head on, what those feelings are of being a Black American. Talk about like how you decided to like confront that.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult for me. Like the challenge is like, how do I find the balance between like getting a message across and not being too preachy in the music.
Right.
I still want it to be entertaining, and I still want I want radio play, and I want placements on TV shows, like like other artists and like top charting artists. I think I have the ability to write a song that is a top charting song, and so again, but for me it's like, all right, if I have the talent to do that, I think I also had the capacity to like infuse a message in there too. So like let's just try to find that balance. And one person said that and I really appreciate this as a compliment. They were like, no point on the album seems overindulgent or self-indulgent.
Right.
Like there's not like what Sam was saying, there's really not a lot of rapping on the album, but the rapping is just very intentional. Like the verse is like very well thought out, And I would get to a point where every song, where it was like, okay, now I think I'm getting preachy to the audience. Let me pull back myself a little bit. Let's try to fill it in with some arrangement, some instruments, maybe a feature. And I don't want to overdo it. You know, I don't want anybody coming here and being like, all right, here he go again, talking about, you know, so-and-so, this topic or whatever. So no, I appreciate that, man. I think that was the goal, is to like make. I also really love when people are like, yo, that song is beautiful. I love that as a compliment. I love
that is top tier compliment. If you make some music and somebody says it's beautiful, it's one thing to call it raw. It's one thing to call it hot. Beautiful is top tier.
Right. Because beauty is like, that's if somebody is like, this is like a flower. This song is a flower. That to me is so much better than fire. You know, I'd rather make flowers than fire. You feel me?
Yeah.
But also, I think that the music, it's like you can have the messaging, but if the music doesn't match it, it can get totally overlooked. So like the production on this just fits perfectly to what the story you're telling and the messaging you're trying to project. And I know that you, I read that you learned how to mix and produce yourself through YouTube, or record yourself through YouTube.
YouTube University, the #1 enrolling university in the world.
How much of this album was independently done by you?
So all the vocal engineering was done by me. But you know, since kind of big self-teaching the whole engineering side of things, I know where my limits are, you know, like, so when it comes to like the production or like the beat, I'll have some input for sure, but I trust my team and the folks that are producing. Like, I want this to feel like, I want y'all to feel proud of it too. If y'all are gonna, you know, be working with me, then I want this to be exactly what you envision it to be too. And that's just a matter of having a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue, being really transparent. This is where I want the song to go. This is where you want the song to go. Let's marry that together. But yeah, in terms of the engineering, all the vocal engineering is done by myself.
Got it.
Yeah. And going back to this idea of beauty, I think one of the things that separates a beautiful record from a fire record to me is that instrumentation. And I noticed that when you went live, and kudos to you for this, you brought the band with you. And people don't do that. So, you know, shout out to you for getting out there. I think there was 3 or 4 people up there accompanying you on Saturday night.
Isaiah was on trumpet, Nate was on sax, and then 2 vocalists, Rahel Bay and Megan Berry, phenomenal singers. And then Neil Knapp was DJing. So you know, I still hip hop at the end of the day, so we always gonna roll with a DJ. And then, you know, just layer some live instruments on it too. And you know what, to be honest with you, I feel like we were kind of stripped down for the band. I love performing with like a whole ensemble, and we were doing that a lot more pre-COVID, but then, you know, COVID hit and it kind of messed up the mojo of things. So
yeah. What was it like? So I think, to me, the live instrumentation there changes the energy of the performance. Did you feel that while you were on stage as well, that like it was different this time? I mean,
you gotta, you know, I think a part of the instrumentation is like, you just gotta let that shit breathe sometimes. Like, I don't need to be talking to y'all all the time. Like, you know, enjoy these horns real quick, you know, like, I'm gonna enjoy the horns with y'all. Like, at one point, I think I just like, I stopped talking and I just like looked at the horn section and they were just going, and I was just like, are y'all seeing this? Like, I feel like I'm at the show, you know, like I'm not just performing, I'm watching this shit too. So yeah, I mean, that live instrumentation works on a couple different levels. It makes the performance a lot more engaging, but it also gives me a break while I'm up there, and other, you know, people can look at other things besides me, because I be getting anxious up there. So you know, I don't like that all the time.
Word. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sam. I'll follow up before we close out.
All right. I got one question, then Gabe gonna ask a question, then I'm gonna ask the last question. So a lot of mental health on this album. I was curious, what does a perfect Rich Robbins mental health day look like?
Whoa, is there one? You know what? I think there is one. The day after the show, so on Sunday, I think I had like a really great mental health day, which is unusual because oftentimes like the day after the show is actually like a very depressing day for me.
Yeah,
because
people don't understand that. People don't understand that.
Yeah, and same thing with like a big album drop. Like the next day, it's like, what do I do now? But it's such a release, and like you're spending time with so many people in one sitting, and you feel like you're on top of the world, and then the next day you wake up and you realize, damn, the whole rest of the world was like still spinning while I was at my show. And so like I was just like this little minuscule thing in my time of my most exciting, my most excitement. So that's where like that usually comes from. But I've gotten real comfortable, and I think COVID has helped with this. I've gotten a lot more comfortable just being like okay with being an introvert and okay with taking space from people. And so I woke up on Sunday and was like, you know what? I'm just like the band left my crib. They stayed the night at my crib. They left, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for a drive by myself. I hit up like 3 comic book stores. I went and bought like a breakfast sandwich, and was just like kicking it by myself, Madden, and smoked some CBD. I've been really on some CBD lately.
Hey.
And so that was really, really great for me, man, to read some comic books and like just like, because that's what I would do. Like if I'm like, when I retire, that's exactly what I want to be doing, is shit like that.
Right.
So like it was cool to just do that by myself.
Quick follow up on that. What comics did you buy?
So I've been reading Invincible. I actually didn't buy it, but I have the first big compendium, which is like the first 47 issues. So I've been on that, and I've been reading the new X-Men line is really great right now.
Nice. We love nerds on this show. We don't get enough nerds on this show, so I appreciate you.
We gotta get Elliot Serrano back on soon.
Yeah, low key.
All right, I got 2 questions. One of them is, I don't know how you're gonna respond. The other one's kind of funny. The song Aaliyah, is that song just a tad bit insensitive?
Gabe lived through it. Our generation just learned about it. Gabe is like, oh man, that's like my 9/11. You know what I mean? Like,
because
it happened right before 9/11, Sam. I don't know.
No, that's a good damn. Yeah, that's a great question though, man. And I've been waiting for this question, to be real with you. I like, even working on it, I was like, there's gonna be somebody that's like, hold on a second, I don't know about that reference and that, so number one, Aaliyah is somebody I'm a huge fan of. R&B wise, like I grew up listening to Aaliyah. So it's all love to Aaliyah, and I would never try to put something out that was like disrespectful to her name. Right. I think she's an absolute legend.
Right.
So for me, it was more the metaphor of not checking your baggage, right? So for me, it was like the way that I understand Aaliyah's death is that she was warned prior to bringing the luggage on the plane. Her and her crew were warned that it was too much. They decided, we're going to bring it anyway. It weighed down the plane, and it was fatal. And so for me, the metaphor was really just like bringing so much baggage into a relationship that's unchecked and requiring the other person to carry it for you until they crash. And they become, a said Aaliyah. So I really rocked with the metaphor, and I really hope it's not offensive to nobody. And if it is, I truly apologize for that, for sure. Particularly like anybody that actually knows Aaliyah, I'm very sorry for it. For everybody else that's a fan, I think it's fair game to have an opinion about it. Yeah, so that was really where the metaphor. It was more of a homage and like a kind of extending her legacy, and maybe like taking a lesson from her legacy and applying it to my own life.
Right, and I understood what you were saying and what you're doing, so I'm glad that you explained it for some people who may not be familiar exactly what the cause of the accident, and looking at it from a point of the surface of like that. That's why I was trying to be like not offensive but insensitive, but I think the way you explained it makes a lot of sense. Before I close out with you, you rapped that you're not good at hoops, but you mentioned that you played baseball. So anytime we have an artist on who is connected to sports, I always like to ask, how does sports and music align with each other? Are there any similarities or things that you can take from either or and apply?
Yeah, for sure. Recovery for both of them. So when I have writer's block, I really equate it to just like having like a day of soreness from the gym or from a workout or from being on the field. And I think artists really, I think, need to appreciate those days where they feel a little bit off, because I feel like it's just really their brain and their creativity just bulking up, you know. So I think that's kind of the parallel of it. It's like the dedication is the same. The training, I think, is like the principle of the training is the same. You put in your 10,000 hours. You know, some people are on the court or on the field. I'm in the studio right now. So it's, you know, it's a very similar work ethic, I think.
Word.
Yeah.
And then last question from me. The album's called Over the Horizon. What's over the horizon for Rich Robbins right now?
Yeah, on the horizon. What's on the horizon for me? I want to do more shows. I want to eventually get a little tour booked. That's kind of like I'm setting that intention and trying to manifest that. I book like 4 shows that are close to each other. Call it a tour. I want to, do a couple more visuals. I got a music video coming out to It's Not Your Fault. I also have this really cool thing that somebody made. I'm probably going to put it out tomorrow, but it's anime related that somebody made to one of my songs that I'm super pumped about, because I grew up watching anime. So the fact that they made this is crazy to me. And yeah, I mean, just expand it, man. I want to work with more artists. I want to songwrite with people. And not even be on the song, but just be in the cut with them, writing lyrics, you know. I love performing with Mother Nature. I want to keep performing with other Chicago artists. It was really cool just bringing them out as a surprise. I want to keep doing stuff like that, you know, like you never know who's gonna pop out at one of my shows. You know, we're gonna make it happen like that.
Hell yeah.
That's a huge ask. Like, hey, you want to drive 4 hours to Madison for like 2 minutes?
I do have a show in Madison on the 28th too. So anybody that is it's in honor of a former first waver who passed away a handful of years ago. So I'm very pumped to celebrate JVN Day over at Madison.
Fantastic. On the horizon is the new album from our guest tonight, Rich Robbins. It's on all digital streaming platforms. Well, it is. I tell no lie when I describe it as a beautiful record. There's so much to love about this album, and I think that you'll enjoy it as well if you give it a try. Rich, thank you so much for giving us your time and telling your story. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you guys. Much appreciated.
All right, enjoy your evening. Rich Robbins joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's and closing us out. I love talking to him. I loved everyone on the show tonight.
It was a really, really well done show tonight, and the air horns had a little bit of an effect on that. But Rich Robbins and Phoenix Wave are our only guests this week. Can you believe that, Gabe? Because you tell the people what you're doing on Thursday night.
I am going to be on the South Side, represent that hard. I'm going to be over checking out Sky Zoo, who we had on the show last month. He is in town to promote his new record, A Beautiful Thing. What is it?
All the Beautiful Things.
All the Beautiful Things. Thank you. All the Beautiful Things. Fillmore Green, Rashid Hadi are going to be opening up. I will be able to actually hang out with Sky for a little bit. I'm going to flex a little bit. So I am going to be doing that on Thursday night. So that means no show. But we'll be back on it next Tuesday right here on Weekend at Gabe.
Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to figure out who runs Promontory and pull them to the side and talk about the 100th episode of the showcase.
That'd be fantastic.
We got so many cool artists. We need to just get everybody we've had on the show together in the room for one night and then just watch the year unfold of all of those artists collaborating together. And it would be a specific moment for the Chicago culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have like a Fillmore Green joining us, a part of that. And which, I imagine if he's not busy, that could be possible. But we'll see what we could do. But we'll be on the lookout to identify the person in charge and see if they're available.
Hell yeah.
But we'll be back at it next Tuesday, so fear not. We have a lot of great back episodes. If you missed any of them, head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe while you're there. Plenty of great guests from the last couple weeks, including Vakil, who joined us for his first album in over 10 years, and a bunch of other great guests that have popped in.
And because there's no show on Thursday, you can expect two clips to be posted, and those will be up on our Instagram page for Thursday. So you never know who might pop up on your feed.
All right, fantastic. Sam, enjoy your Thursday. Stay out of trouble.
Try my best.
Everyone else, don't forget to follow us on the socials at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, also at The Real Sam Crane. And we'll do it next Tuesday live here on Weekend at Gabe's. We are out.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.